let's talk about the other party in the main event. We kind of already have, right? The challenger, Colby Chaos Covington. As you know, at one point, he did wear gold around his waist when he won the interim welterweight title. But this will be his third crack at the undisputed title. Is this do or die for Covington in terms of becoming an undisputed champion? Goes, what do you think?
I think we could be close, but I don't think we're all the way there. Colby's a controversial guy. He knows how to build a fight, so I don't think he's ever completely out of the picture. And it seems like, uh, I just feel like if you look at his career, he seems pretty down to fight. I mean, I know that it's been a minute now, but mostly you can't really say there's like people that he's ran away from or anything like that. I think if he loses the fight, he's just got a couple lives that he can kind of, uh, stand back and say, hey, look, it was the layoff, guys. I had a little bit of rust or whatever. And like I said, like it's easy to promote Colby Covington. Whoever you put in front of him next, he's gonna have a problem with. They're gonna go at it back and forth at a press conference, and we're gonna be interested in watching him. And I think that's the thing that the UFC is always interested in is they want people to be excited for these matchups. And Colby Covington makes you that way. Now, it's not always for the right reasons, right? But we don't care. Half of the people want to see him get smashed. Other people like him. But I think he can kind of generate that interest. So mainly, I think the only person he's really fighting is Father Time, right? That's the big thing. Could he be undisputed again? I think maybe he would have one more run, but maintaining it, that's one where I think you got to shut the door. I don't think something like that could happen.
Goes, you talking about heated matchups are still left for him? Because
They're
Masvidal,
all heated.
he's retired, and Usman, we've already seen that dance a couple times. And
Mhm.
Leon Edwards would be the guy that we're talking about in this matchup, who he refers to as Leon Scott or whatever. So are there still heated matchups
He
left for
creates
him?
them,
Or
George. He creates them. They're never really heated. Like, I mean, aside from Masvidal, he just creates them. That's the brilliance of Colby
okay,
Covington, and I think that's what a promoter wants, right?
yeah, he's definitely been the you have to go through Colby Covington. I don't like to use gatekeeper too often because it pisses off some fighters, but I don't mean it as a disrespect. It just means that basically to get through Kamaru, you had to get through Colby, and nobody really did. That's why Colby got those multiple shots, and he did very well in those fights. By the way, I think he's a live dog. Although Bonehard in the chat room is telling Will goodbye to your 2K. All right, nice one. Dan, Tom, what do you think, man? Colby Covington, is this do or die for him?
Hey, I just will say to the 2K better, for what it's worth, Colby did open up as the favorite, like a decent favorite, which is kind of surprising to me way back in March. Neither here nor there. The line flipped. As far as the question goes, I do believe it is do or die. I know that stat everybody loves to throw around for 35 and under. Or an over, I should say, for the success rate dropping off. But I believe that's also under 170. Colby is right at 35. This fight is at 170. So it's kind of on the cusp in more ways than one to kind of, revert back to what Goes has been preaching this show. I think he's correct. I mean, it's really an important fight kind of, for both guys really to see where they're both at here. But I do think it is do or die for Colby as far as winning, fighting and definitely winning a title goes.
Okay. There was one thing that I thought one of you might bring up, and that's, I don't know, am I crazy? Does Colby have a 155 option? He's talked about it in the past, but he is older. But I don't want to steal the thunder. I'll give credit to Will, who's not shy about using the comment section. He says Colby versus Dustin, and I thought, hey, that's not bad. That's not bad. We want to rehash something. I think it would get Dustin out of bed. He only wants the big fights, the one that really, really get him going, and to smash a former teammate that might get him going. Fire, you look like you're excited to jump in on this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say it could be most likely do or die for him in terms of a title fights if he loses. It also depends on how he loses, because if it's one of those super close fights, then Colby's name is always going to be linked to big fights. I mean, I've heard him multiple times in interviews talk about how he's accepted to fight all these guys and they won't fight him. Now, obviously, we're not going to know the exact truth of what goes down behind the scenes, but the Dustin fight is out there. That's a big fight. So he might not be involved in welterweight title fights anymore if he loses, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets thrown into a BMF title fight. So does that count as a title fight? If it does, Colby Covington could be a part of that. At the end of the day, a lot of guys want to fight him. A lot of guys want to get their hands on him, and he knows how to sell a fight. He is a big name. So I still think he'll be as relevant as he was regardless of the outcome. But in terms of a welterweight title fight, I think it depends. If he does lose, it's going to depend how he loses. If it's a super close fight, then I wouldn't completely rule it out just because he's going to be a big name that a lot of people are going to want to fight regardless of who's champion.
You know, I was just thinking as you were talking, Fada, all the beefs he's had over the years. It's like that Brazil thing is way in our rear view mirror, you know. But for a long time, the whole country was pissed at the guy. But anyway, goes Gilbert Burns, Colby Covington. Does that interest you, or is that ship sailed? You know, like the
No.
Brazilian and the Colby tie-in.
No, that'll always interest me. I think another thing that we bring up a lot, and some people will fist bump and say it could happen. Other people say no. But when you think about like being under that same umbrella with WWE, I'm sure they kind of exchange information. And if you look at WWE, man, they got a belt for everything, right? I just feel like one day the UFC is going to introduce a new weight class, and if it's in between 155 and 170, then you could start talking about Colby Covington and guys like Dustin Poirier, right? Something like that. He could win a belt that way. That could always happen. But Dana White's always saying that ain't going to happen. But he says a lot of things are going to happen, and they happen.
I thought you were going to suggest, as you were connecting the dots, Colby to WWE. We saw a former welterweight, Matt Riddle, go over there and do pretty damn well.
I think that's always his contingency plan, is to do something like that.